Hello, everybody. I am finally on a lot of technological challenges, and I am finally here. And so I want to first and foremost apologize and thank my technology production person for assisting me. Um, so I wanted to again say that I apologize. I am sorry. I am not a digerati, and I thought that I had done all that I was supposed to do about 4 days ago, but apparently there are some changes that YouTube has made as far as devices and that kind of thing like that. And so, nevertheless, I am here. So I want to thank you and thank you for being patient with me. And so I don't even know where to begin because my mind, I was so set at 7:30. Excuse me. And so it's just kind of like my brain is kind of like all over the place. But let me introduce myself for those who may not know who I am. I am Alexis Cole. I am a life coach and a speaker, mentor, and a lot of other things, just depending on what day it is, what hat I have to wear. So I want to say, have thank you, Sharella, for joining me. I should have some of my other friends joining in. I sent text messages telling them that I'm on now, and yeah. So a life coach, speaker, mentor. I have been assisting and helping individuals since 2004 professionally, and I've been life coaching professionally since 2013. And it has been an amazing journey. It has been challenges. It's been growth parts. It's been not wanting to grow parts. But today I am here. I'm also a breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017, and I did a mastectomy on the left side, and I am still healing from that. My body is still acclimating to the changes that I've had to endure. So, where we are today, I wanted to give out this special invitation for Healing and Happiness Begins with You. It is my offering to you all, to the universe. And I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that. Um, Especially 2019 has been a year for many people, many challenges, myself included, and uh, and I really had to take a real hard look at myself in 2018 and kind of make some changes. Not that they were changes that I was looking to make. Sometimes God will force us into certain situations because I do think on certain levels I was trying to buck the system because I used to be a minister. I used to preach. I moved away from that. That's a whole nother story. And so I kind of like was like, I don't want any parts of that. I don't want to touch that. You know, let me kind of be on the outside looking in. And so life happens, right? And things change. And so God kind of took a different route with me, as far as bringing me back into what we know as spirituality. And so I was still bucking the system in 2018. I still wasn't trying to go. Nevertheless, I kind of submitted a little bit, and but things began to unfold. And as I really began to look at myself, I really began to realize, like, wow, you really need to heal. There were some areas in your life that you have not um, healed in, and not that I was like thinking that anything was necessarily wrong because things happen and then you just kind of keep moving and life goes on and you just, I'm going to keep it moving mentality, but not knowing that you're still operating in this level of grief. You're still operating from this level of sadness, even though it's not present, but it's living in your body and it's showing up in other ways. And so last year, I think, yeah, last year, one of my family members had passed away, and my boyfriend was killed when I was in my early 20s. And I realized when my little cousin was killed that I actually had never grieved his death properly. And so I actually grieved in other ways, but not knowing that it was quote unquote grief. And so my thought process with that at the time was that I don't want to face it. So let me find something else to do and not really feel what was happening. And so these emotions and these feelings started to come up. And I was kind of thinking, like, wow, why am I thinking about him? Like, what is this really about? Why is he coming up? And so what I realized is that my body was trying to tell me, you need to heal from this. You can't keep running from this. And what I realized, I'm like, wow, it's been 25 years since he passed away. So technically, I've been running and living the last 25 years of my life with this grief, with this in my body showing up in other ways. And so I decided to take the opportunity to heal this part of myself and face it and understand it, and really get into why I was really what I was really angry about, because I realized that I was still angry. And so I did some self-development, I did some self-healing, and just other things started to unfold. And so I kind of started on this new spiritual journey, if you would. And so I realized, then fast forwarding, I realized that wow, we hold on to so much, and we don't realize it, and we don't understand it, and it becomes very difficult to really understand who we are. It becomes very difficult to really love who we are, because we haven't dealt with past pains and hurts and disappointments. And so resentment and bitterness and all these things start to grow in us, but it shows up as something else. And so the healing and happiness begins with you is really this concept of this thought process about really taking the opportunity in these last days of 2019 to really look at what it is that you probably are not over, right? And really look at it from a place or a capacity to say, wow, why am I still angry? What is this really about? Is it really about what I think it's about? Or am I still really angry with my mother or my father? Am I still angry with my sister or my brother, but it's showing up presently with me as something else? And so healing, a lot of times when we think about the concept of healing, it's really, you know, my heart got broken. I'm gonna go to church. I'm gonna turn around 3 times. They're gonna lay hands on me, and and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. But what I'm really talking about is really being able to go into your past and really say, wow, what didn't I face? What did I run from? Because even with my boyfriend being killed, I realized that I was running. That's why I made some of the choices that I made. When I look back over my life, that's why I chose a certain lifestyle. I got into a certain lifestyle, that fast lifestyle. When I really start to analyze myself and say, wow, these were the choices that I was making. And so although I thought I was making it for this reason, it was really grief showing up by another name. And so healing it has to be intentional. It has to be something that you are willing to do. It's you having to face secret and dark parts of yourself that you have buried so deep down into your system that you have to be willing to face, because maybe we have low self-esteem, or we don't like what we look like because of something that we haven't dealt with. Maybe somebody said something to us when we were 15 or when we were 20, and said we would never be anything, or said that we would never be nothing, or they called us out of our names, and they said all sorts of negative things to us. And even though we may have said, oh, I don't care, or I'm just going to let it run off my shoulders, you still carry that in your body with you. And so maybe one overcompensates for dressing. Oh, I always got to look good on the outside, even though I may feel a certain way on the inside. And so this healing that I'm talking about is not superficial. It is really being able to look in the mirror of self and say, wow, I really want to deal with this. I really want to heal from this. I really want to get over this. I really don't want to carry this with me into 2020. I no longer want this to be a part of my identity. And if you're a follower of me, I have a podcast. It's called A in the AM. And for 2018 and 2019, I dealt a lot with taking off the mask, finding your true self, being honest with yourself, having real conversations with yourself. Because one of the hardest meetings to have is a meeting with self, you know, and it's not easy. I won't ever say that it's an easy process, but this type of healing that I am talking about is more like an advanced type of healing. Like this is not bubble gum and pickles and cotton candy type of healing. It's not that type of thing, but it's really being able to go into the depth of who you are and pull all of that negative emotion and all of that negative energy out of you and say, listen, I am done with this. I need to be kind to myself. I need to love myself. I need to show my own self grace and mercy. I need to forgive myself. We hold on. We made mistakes and we haven't forgiven ourselves for those mistakes that we did 20 years ago, that we did 15 years ago. And we're still carrying that in our body because one, we haven't realized that I need to heal. And so where happiness comes in is that we try to do all of these things to make us happy, to make us feel like, oh, if I get this car, if I get this bag, if I get this hairdo, if I get this, if I get my nails done, if I do all of these things, that I am somehow going to be happy. And I was a proponent of that. I don't really know if you could be happy. I really had evolved into that mentality, and that happiness is based on things happening. And I had all this philosophical and theological concept about happiness and all of this other stuff. But one of the things that I learned over the last year is that my happiness begins within myself. That this type of happiness doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. It doesn't have anything to do with your man, your husband, your boo thing, your children, your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandfather. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It is sheer beauty within and happiness exuding from inwardly, outwardly, because you are aligned with who you are. And so when you start to heal those areas in your life that you have found to be challenging, that you have found to be difficult, when you really start to be one with that, and you really say, you know what, I really want to love myself on this next level, you will see that happiness begins to take on another form. You will see that it begins to take on another type of definition, that it doesn't have anything to do with what we think it has to do with. And I don't really know I don't even know if I could even give it a proper definition, because it's more of an experience about you starting to evolve within yourself, and that social media doesn't matter. What my friends think doesn't matter, because I truly want to find this internal happiness and I truly want to be one with myself. Then I'm going to do the necessary work and do what it takes for that to happen for me. This healing that I'm talking about, this isn't about such and such needing to apologize to you. Because guess what? It may not ever come. This isn't about, oh, well, I need to this or I need to that externally. This is also sometimes I need to write down on a piece of paper and get out all the negative emotions and the feelings that I feel about whomever. Or I need to get a mirror from the Dollar Tree and I need to do mirror work and really ask myself, what is it? Why don't I like myself? What is it that's causing me to think the way that I think about myself? And this may seem like basic information. It may seem like basic knowledge, but I am here to tell you, many people are struggling with their identity. And they struggle with their identity because they have held on to wounds and disappointment and bitterness and resentment that is living in their bodies, that is not allowing them to see the fullness of who they are. When I'm with some of my clients, one of the things that I tell them is that when there is no clarity of self, there is no true love for self. And this information that I have, this is not your Sunday go to church meeting type of like spin around 3 times and you can give an offering for it. No, this is not the work that I'm talking about. This healing and this happiness that I'm talking about is you really being aligned with who you are and being honest about who you are and being true to who you are. And it doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. So healing begins inwardly. Hit and happiness begins inwardly. And I cannot stress this enough because we are socialized to search outside of ourselves for identity and who we are and what we look like. We're socialized that way. You know, we're socialized to look for self-esteem from other people. And in some instances, I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I definitely think that it carries more of a negative outcome in how we show up for ourselves versus it really doing what it's supposed to do or helping us in a healthy way. And so we dress for other people. We get our hair done for other people. You know, they tell us as you know, you have to look good for your man. No, I need to look good for myself. And then he benefits from that. Because if what I look like and what I dress like is based on somebody else commenting me, then guess what? I probably would never find satisfaction and true satisfaction and fulfillment, because then I'm always externally looking for somebody to validate me. And so we have to get out of this mindset or this concept that who I am is based upon other people. I got off social media for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons was because I knew the work that I wanted to do on myself, I couldn't have any distractions. I couldn't. And so I didn't go around asking anybody's permission to say, oh, well, do you think I should get off social media because I want to work on myself? And no, I looked at myself and say, listen, how bad do you want what you're trying to do? My healing and me evolving and growing was more important than what somebody else thought about me. And I didn't care what somebody was going to say. And I think someone said to me, well, how are you going to promote your business? I don't know. Before social media, it was word of mouth. But at that point, like I wasn't even worried about that because I knew that something greater was calling me. I knew that I needed to align myself. I knew that I needed to create harmony in my body. I knew that I needed to elevate my mindset. I knew that I needed to grow. I knew that I needed to take my womanhood to the next level. And I didn't want to have any distractions in me doing that. And so in me doing that and removing the distractions and the things that was going to prevent me from really growing to this level that I knew that I was trying to get to, I advanced very quickly. And so when I would be on the phone with certain people and they would say, hey, you know what, you sound different. What do you know? I'm doing self-development. That's what I'm doing. I wouldn't go into details about it. I'm doing self-development, but I was really on this accelerated path because guess what? For me, I didn't have no time to waste. I didn't have the luxury of a lot of things. So I really I got focused. I knew that I needed to heal some areas in my life. And I was like, listen, it's going to happen and I'm going to do it. And that's the bottom line. I even went to therapy. Initially, I didn't even tell anybody I was going to therapy. I just started doing it. I was moving in silence. And then eventually I told my best friend, Rakia, and I shared it with another one of my friends. And they were like, oh, great. I'm proud of you. Congratulations. And that kind of thing like that. But I really moved in silence in this healing work that I was doing. I moved in silence in this growth that I was trying to create in my body because I needed to change the DNA in my body. For me to be carrying the death of somebody for 25 years, that's influencing a lot of how I think. It's influencing how I see relationships. It's influencing how I see friendships because Having somebody to die and just be taken away from you, automatically that creates you being afraid to connect with somebody. It creates abandonment issues. So now I'm living in this place, this defense mechanism place, because subconsciously I'm still grieving. I'm still that 20 something year old young lady that hasn't gotten over this death. And so I had to change the DNA in my body. I had to be honest with myself about why were you angry about him dying? What was that really about? And I had to ask myself core questions. And not only in this area, in other areas of my life too. I had to ask myself core questions if I really wanted to heal. And we spend so much time trying to put mascara on wounds. We spend so much time trying to put a band-aid over wounds that's wide open. And enough is enough. We cannot move into 2020. We're moving into a whole new decade. Let's just talk real for a minute. We're moving into a whole new decade. That means that many of us have been living in this, what I will call this karma circle, repeating the same things, the same experiences, the same attitudes for the last 10 years, if we be honest about it. And so one really has to ask themselves, do I really want to carry this negative energy, this bitterness, this resentment, all of these things into 2020 with me? To repeat the same thing, thinking you're going to get a different response, they say is insanity. So you really have to look at yourself and say, what is it that I keep doing over and over and over and over again? And it's not serving me. It's not benefiting me. One of the things that I really had to come to terms with is these habits or these patterns of behavior that no longer serve me, that doesn't allow me to really walk in my womanness, that doesn't allow me to move as a wife, that doesn't allow me to move as a friend and be genuine in that. In my therapy sessions, I had to do a lot of negotiating about who I was as a person, about what were the type of people that I wanted in my life. And if I wanted those people in my life, am I that person? And in some aspects, I had to woman up and say, you know what? No, you're not. You're absolutely not. If I'm struggling with texting one of my friends and saying, you know what, I was thinking about you, I miss you. If I'm struggling with that, then how can I want friendships? Because if they truly mean something to me, right? Why would I withhold that from them? That belongs to them. That's what I feel for them. And so we have to be honest about who we are. Many of us are in our 40s, but we really in our 20s and our 30s. Because in the world of psychology, they say in that particular science that whatever trauma happened in your life at whatever age, that's what part of you, that's where you're stuck. So here it is. I'm growing in other areas of my life, but I'm still that 21-year-old girl who's still grieving her boyfriend who was killed. And so I had to be honest about that. And how has that experience influenced me to not grow as a woman, to not really be on my real grown woman level? I definitely struggle with expressing emotions because subconsciously, you know what? I'm thinking, oh, they're gonna die, or something's bad is gonna happen. And I had to make up in my mind that I didn't want to live there anymore. So I had to change the DNA in my body. I had to change. And when I say that, meaning what I thought, how I think, how I react to situations or circumstances, and really stopping and saying, okay, why do you feel that way? What is that about? What are you doing? And so, this healing that I'm talking about, when you really do it and you really get involved in it and you really get engrossed in it, there's a happiness that begin to bubble up, that you begin to feel, and that you begin to see the world differently. And when you come into certain circumstances, the way that you used to react to it, you now respond in a different way, because there's a difference between reacting and responding. And you see yourself differently. And so, what would have bothered you before is now starting to be minimized, because you realize when you're aligning, that things that you thought mattered, it doesn't even matter anymore. When I realized that I needed to show myself grace and mercy and forgiveness and kindness and gentleness, and that when certain situations come up, Alexis, are you being kind to yourself in this situation? Are you loving yourself in this situation? When something comes up, am I automatically drawing a conclusion on it? Am I automatically putting judgment on it? There's a beauty in healing, because there's an unfolding of you that you get to experience and that you get to see. And I don't even know if I have the words in my lexicon to really express the importance of really taking the remainder of 2019 and doing your self work, doing your healing work. If it's something in your marriage that you're bitter about, heal that. If it's something that you've been holding on to for 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, you got to heal that. And everybody healing looks different. Everybody healings it looks different. And there is no cookie cutter for the healing. There is no cookie cutter for it. You have to really ask yourself some real core questions. Why am I still bitter? Why, when I see that person, do these emotions come up in me? That's your work that you have to do. You know, and in this process of, of doing this healing work within myself, I came across some amazing individuals, and they would ask me some really hard questions. And I can tell you, at the time when they asked me, it was almost like, what are you talking about? Because I'm dealing with this, and this is over here, and yeah. And you're asking me if my life could look like anything, what would it look like? Say what now? I'm grieving. No, 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 no. But as I started to grow more, it made sense to me when they would ask me certain questions. Because what I didn't understand was that they were the agitator to start to get me to think differently. They were the agitator to start helping me to change the DNA in my body. Because we can be so consumed on the negative and what happened and how it happened and why did it happen. And instead of looking at how can this make me a greater version of myself? How can this situation allow me to see myself in a different perspective? How can this situation make me elevate my love for myself? How can this situation allow me to show kindness to myself? And I know the word kindness it can be somewhat unfamiliar to us, because our definition or our experience with the word kindness is always outward, to be kind outwardly. Very seldom do we understand the concept of kindness to self. And I'm not talking about kindness where you go buy yourself something or you go to a spa day. I'm not talking about that. But kindness in the sense of internally, that you that you're able to grow and heal in a way that you're being kind to your body, that you're being kind to your mind, that you're being kind to your heart. Because taking the initiative to ask yourself core questions about why am I still bitter? Why am I still angry? Why am I still resentful? Why does that still bother me? The relationship was over 20 years ago. Whatever it may be. Why am I still angry with my mother? Why am I still angry with my father? That's being kind to yourself. Because now you're saying, you know what? I care enough about myself to get this out of my body, to get this out of my mind. And when you really sit back and you really start to do this self-assessment, things are going to start to move in a way that you will say, man, I should have been done this. I should have been asking myself these hard questions. I should have been willing to face these parts of myself. Because a lot of times we stay in this state because we're afraid of the unknown. But if we give the unknown a new definition and say, listen, the unknown works to my good. The unknown benefits me because I get to create. The unknown is like a blank slate. I get to create whatever it is that I want to create. I get to paint my life in the way that I desire to see it turn out. So we can't be afraid of the unknown. We can't be afraid of it. And fear is that thing that tries to paralyze us. But when you really want to heal and you really want to find true happiness, you'll move in the fear. You'll move with it. Like, look, listen, this is where I'm headed. This is where I'm going. So either you're going to stay here or you're going to have to roll with me. Because if we allow fear to dictate us, we will never grow. We will never see our full potential. We will never be able to love ourselves in such an optimum way because we are allowing fear to get the best of us. We can no longer be defined by materialism, social media, none of that. I was hanging with, I hope she don't mind. I was hanging with Tara. I think it was like 2 weeks ago now, almost 2 weeks ago now. And I really just enjoyed her presence, you know, talking. Nobody's on their phones. We're not trying to get on social media. It was just being present with self. Nothing dictating our existence but us. And we have to get out of that mindset. We have to get out of these external things trying to turn us into something that we know internally that we don't even want to be. I don't care what she's doing, or I don't care what he's doing. What do I want my life to look like for 2020? Do I want to keep repeating? And what is it about me that still wants to gravitate to this? I want to be kind. To this type of energy. We doing the same thing, saying the same thing. Nobody around me is growing. Nobody around me can't influence me in a way that make me want to change my whole concept of who I am. People talk about different things and this, that, or whatever. But as soon as I ask a person, well, tell me the top 5 things that millionaires do. Or tell me the top 5 things that billionaires do. Can't have the conversation. Because I can guarantee you that the majority of them are not on social media. I saw one video where it said that billionaires read at least 60 books a year. How many books have we read this year? And I'm not talking about, you know, the book. Yeah, y'all know the little things. I'm not talking about those type of books. I'm talking about books that's really gonna challenge you in who you are. Because that starts to change the DNA in your body. That starts to change the way that you think and how you see yourself. What videos on YouTube do you engage? Do you get on and say, listen, I've never seen this before. You know what? I don't really know what it's about, but I'm gonna listen to this. It's only 5 minutes. When you wake up in the morning time, what is the first thing that you do? Because research says the first thing that we do is grab our phones. And you're not understanding when you're waking up from that sleep place, you're in a state where they call the hypnosis state. So the first thing you do is grabbing your phone. So what are we going to do? If you really want to heal and allow your happiness to unfold, you're going to have to do different things. It cannot be the same monotony, the same conversations, the same, and your friends can be absolutely amazing individuals. And I'm not saying in no way that you should throw anybody away. But what I am saying is that if you want to grow, you may have to cut time or what type of conversations you have with people. Because life is too short. In 2020, technically it's already here. The Jewish calendar, their New Year has already started. And I think it's the Vietnamese, their calendar has already started. It's only us in this United States where we're waiting. So you're going to really have to make up in your mind what it is that you really want for yourself. What do you want your healing to look like? What is it that you feel like you need to heal? And if your life could look like anything, what would that look like for you? For real. Because this is not the time to be playing. We're getting too old to be sitting in the same mindsets and around the same type of people doing the same thing that's not going anywhere. I don't care if it's your nail, you want to go get your nails done. Go get your nails done somewhere that you've never done it before. Go to a coffee shop outside of Starbucks that's privately owned. Change the DNA in your body. Change the DNA in your thought process. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. So anyway, if you have any questions, you can email me on YouTube if you have a YouTube account, or for the next 24 hours, you can email me at lovingmeagain@msn.com. Just how it sounds. Loving, LOVING, me again at msn.com. Thank you for joining me with this webinar session. Healing and happiness begins with you. And I definitely appreciate you for tuning in with me. I have an event coming up on December 17th, Healing the Goddess Within. Change your energy. It's your divine right. It's on Eventbrite, and it is Release 2020, Healing the Goddess Within. So until next time, talk to you later. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.